All right, as you can see, Mike's got a special tool set up and a hammer. He's pounding in the races. And they go in pretty tough. It's kind of surprising when you
once they get started and they're nice and squared up, they'll go a lot easier.
I don't think she's square right now. Doesn't look it. Looks like the bottom's in a little further than the top. That's a bitch. Yeah, that looks a little better. I'm kind of surprised how hard it is, but that's the norm, Mike?
Yeah.
Look at the finished product. So now that race is hammered fully in, and as you saw, it takes quite a bit of force to get that thing to seat home properly. Mike's happy with that. And then a race goes on the other side too, correct, Mike?
Yep.
That's the outer race. It's smaller. And are you happy with that?
No, it's not in.
Nope, not in all the way. Okay.
Not quite. Sometimes I just don't want to go square. Should be good.
Looks good.
You can get a better visual on it. Yeah, from the inside.
Yeah, looks good. Little look at that here. He's got the light shined in. You can see that it's seated perfectly flush all the way around with the inside of the housing. Oh, very nice. Basically,
all I'm looking to do is take that rock out of it.
Yeah.
Colin, show Rick your hammer that you made at school yesterday.
No, I brought another one.
Oh, did you bring it? Is it brass?
What are you in machine? What are you in machine shop right now?
Can we use it?
You get an opinion in there?
Just to bring you up to speed, we put the existing stock shims in on each side, the bearing caps on. We think by feel, hear that? We think it's a little tight, but Mike's putting the gauge on it, so we'll get an accurate measurement here soon. But you got to have somewhere to start to kind of get a sense on where you are, right, Mike?
That's it.
I got bad eyes. Let me know what you got there.
I'm not going to bother zeroing this thing out, but we're going from 27 to 33. So we're right around 6 thousandths.
Well, a little better than I expected.
If I zero it out, sometimes I just end up interrupting it.
6 thousandths you have right there, which is actually in spec.
I think it is. We'll check the sheet that I have.
So you can see the indicators right up next to the tooth. See how the gauge moves. Four thousandths or 3? 4 maybe?
4 maybe.
4 thousandths
it's a
of
little
an
tight.
inch.
It might be a little tight. Let's check it in one other spot. I usually
Yeah.
it does feel pretty good though.
So to
There you go. You're right around
80
5 or
yeah. So right there is 79 to 3. Again, I think you're right on 4, maybe 4.5, 4 thousandths of an inch.
Let's see what the pattern looks like.
All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of
And
gear
then we
gear
have to
paint
pull
on
that
there,
out again anyway.
right? Comes with gear paint. Mike's got a big tub of it anyway, but he's just gonna apply some on how many teeth, Mike?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 teeth. And he's gonna look to see precisely where the pinion gear is coming into contact with the ring gear.
We'll do both sides. We'll do the coast side too, and don't worry so much about the coast side of the gear. The drive side is what you really need to get right. And if that's good, the coast will generally follow it.
So Colin, we drilled a hole, a 1/2-inch hole through the housing. See these wires right here?
Yeah.
We got a 1/2-inch hole through the housing where that grommet will go.
Yeah.
Put a little silicone on that. And we're just trying to set this up. It's going pretty well, actually.
Well, yeah. Now, if this is good, and we're in range, and we're happy with it, we still have to bust it back out. We have to put the crush washer in
Yeah,
there.
because you got to also test that rotational inch pounds.
We have to press on the new pinion bearing and set the crush link.
Mm-hmm.
So that all takes a little bit of time.
Colin has joined us. He just got out of school. You might recognize him from famous driver of the Growler in the most recent video that we did, along with his co-pilot, Jacob, kicking ass, taking names.
I think if we get a little more backlash, it would give us a little more full contact on the tooth. What I'll tell you, it turns smooth. It's not terrible. It's hard to see, but we're covering basically 3/4 of the gear tooth. I don't know if it comes in.
It does. Comes in pretty good. You can see it there. Yeah, you can see a nice pattern there, Mike.
So I'm not totally unhappy with that. I think I'd like to do is we're going to pull this carrier back out.
Okay.
Let's measure those shims, and we might swap them side to side, and we're only going to swap them if, what am I trying to think? If this one is thicker and this one is thinner by a couple thousandths, and we can swap them and move this whole thing over just a little
And
bit.
that's going to give you a little more play.
Yeah, generally every 1,000th of an inch of backlash you want. So if we want to go from 5 to, let's say, 6 or 7,
Yeah.
kind of rule of thumb is you move 1.5 times that in shim.
Okay.
So if I want to add 2 thousandths,
Yeah.
I might be looking to move
3
3 thousandths of
3
shim.
thousandths of shim. Okay. All right. We'll pull this carrier out and we'll try that and see if we can get just a little more backlash on there. Blind bastard like me can get this carrier out. All right. Okay, we'll set that down. Oh, here we go, maybe.
Yeah.
There we go. A little bit of play on that.
There you
we
go.
There's one.
Yeah.
And here's the second one. Okay, that should help. At least. There it is. Wow.
Yeah. There.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, goes in snug.
Yep. Even a little more. I'll steady the carrier, but she's coming now. There we go.
Yeah. There it is.
All right.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it, I'll grab the shim.
Yep. I got the carrier.
Okay.
All right.
As long as we know this shim's
Yep.
on
That's the
right.
one on the right. Move this over here. You wanted to mic them anyway.
Yep.
All right. We reversed the shims. Mike was looking for a little more backlash than 4 thousandths. So once this dial indicator gets set up, we'll get an accurate measurement, and then we'll put some paint on the gears.
So we're 2 and then another 5, maybe 3 and 5. We're under 10 thousandths.
Is 8 okay though?
Yeah, 8's fine. 5 to 8 is a spec.
5 to
so-
8 is the spec.
Yeah. So there's 2 and then 6. So we're right at 8 right there.
All right, you're gonna check it in a couple more spots.
Yeah, let's do a couple more.
So we'll do 3 different readings on the ring gear.
And then we'll paint it. We'll see what it looks like.
Yeah. All right, I see 72, and you're going to
80,
80, 81.
80 and a half, 81, so that's 9.
Mm-hmm.
So we're somewhere between 8 and 10.
All right, you comfortable with that?
Let's see how it
Paint
looks
the
when we
gears.
paint it.
All right, see if he gets the desired result. We have reversed the shims, we've painted the gears, we've checked it with the dial indicator, and now Mike is turning this pinion to circulate the ring gear, and he's going to examine the contact points on the ring gear.
See, our vent breather hose is a little short, huh?
It is. That needs to be lengthened since you put a 2-inch lift on her.
Oh, yeah.
You can just use like 3/8 fuel line. Works fine.
Here we go.
All right, let's get in there and examine. Oh, man. Well, it'll be interesting to see what Mike thinks about that.
I like that.
I had a feeling.
I like that better. Yeah, I like that better.
Well, I think that's remarkable that you could use these stock shims, but just reverse them left to right, right to left, and get what you want and be happy with the contact pattern.
Well, I think some of that maybe goes to the quality of these are Yukon gears. I haven't had any issues with them. Spicer gears, same thing. I mean, probably 9 times out of 10, I've put them back together with the factory shims and had
And been
decent
okay?
results.
All right.
Yeah, even the coast side doesn't look bad. I only ran it around once, but
You know how the game is played. These things go in and out. The carrier was taken out. Mike has taken the pinion out. He wants to make an adjustment on the pinion, and I believe you want it to go in farther, correct?
I put the pinion in further.
Yeah, he wants the pinion to go in. How many thousandths?
Just a couple.
Couple thousandths. So
2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
something
so-
like that.
you know, it's a tedious process in and out. I think this is maybe the 4th time the carrier's been taken out, but he is.
First time we changed the pinion.
Yeah, first pinion adjustment. He's happy now with the carrier left and right. Yep.
We're close.
Okay.
You're gonna catch?
Yep. Yeah. A little more. There we go. Okay. How many?
50. I think I came up with this at 53 or 54. So we're gonna go to 54.
54. So a 4/1000th of an inch difference to
Just a little
bring
deeper.
the pinion just a little deeper. We'll reset that up. So that shim is in there. The 2 bearings.
We're not gonna move the carrier.
Pinion goes in like that. I got that.
Okay.
Yep. Michael set up and I'll hold this pinion and he'll hit it with the gun and puts the flange on it.
Yeah, and then if we like that, we will go and
And again, this is a dummy bearing that you're using.
yeah.
It's a setup bearing. So
They're
Mike
brand
does
new
not
and
Mike does
same.
not mess around. He uses the setup bearings. The races, the finished races are installed. Just took some time to use some brake cleaner and take the gear paint off. This will be going back in.
Don't drop the new races on the ground.
Nope. There we go.
Just leave that all down. A little messy.
Put the camera down to give him a hand, because usually we got to kind of use a brass mallet and get these shims into place with a hammer. Got to work that shim in right there. I'm just going to make mention. See right there? Those are the 2 tabs that hold the coil, the solenoid, from spinning around. So you have one on the bottom and one on the top. Basically the same principle that you see with the Rubicon one, where you get that piece of metal that goes in and it has the little detent that goes in right here and it stops it from turning. So the shims are in. Now we're gonna make some more checks. Mike's really happy with this. We'll see how it goes after we put the gauges on it.
We may have to. Oh yeah, there we go. So so we're right at 7.
0.007 of an inch backlash. We were what, 9.5, right?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of nice. Tighten that up. Same thing?
Yep, right around 8.
That's terrific.
I mean, let's paint it.
Yep,
If
see what it looks
good,
like.
we're gonna let it go.
All right. Gear paint coming up.
Survey says.
Survey says.
I like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, he made a good call on that, on adjusting that pinion depth.
So we added 4. We put this pinion 4 thousandths deeper, closer to the ring gear. Took up a little bit of backlash, and it put that tooth, that profile more centered between the top, the crown, and the root of the gear.
Great
So
job,
it's
Mike.
basically it's meshing about probably as good as we would get it.
Terrific. Terrific.
So what that means now for us is pull the carrier out one last
Pull
time,
the carrier out one last time.
press the new pinion bearing on,
Yeah, as well as
Crush
crush
sleeve.
sleeve. Yep.
seal,
Seal. All right.
slinger,
It's the big deal right here. This is the big deal. Let's do it.
button it up.
All right, good news, good news. We're happy with the carrier setup, so now we're going to be pressing on the new bearing. Obviously, we want to make sure we keep the proper shim on there. There it is. The new bearing will get pressed on there.
Now this is, remember we talked about the carrier before. We don't want to press on this outer cage.
Correct.
So what I have is just an old inner race.
It fits there
It
perfectly.
fits inside
Yeah.
the cage,
Yeah.
so we're going to press right on that.
A brand new bearing goes on there.
We're just going to do it like that.
Yeah, there's all the shims you can see. We'll go over here to the press and take care of business. Okay, you can see that Mike has the pinion hanging down. He's got a spacer on there to press on the proper portion of the bearing so as not to damage the cage. And he's just driving that down through the bearing. You can see the pinion here. Mike's getting some oil. There's brand new bearings. He's going to put some oil on them. The shim is underneath this.
Just motor oil.
Yeah. This is the inner, this is the outer, smaller size bearing, smaller race.
The ever important crush sleeve.
Crush sleeve right
Put these
there.
together more than once.
There it
without putting
is.
that in.
There it is, the crush sleeve.
So the order would be when we put this back in, this will go in the housing.
So I'm going to take, right, I'll take this
Seal.
and push it through to you. Then this, what's
Well,
this
no,
right
what
here?
we're going to do is we're going to put this bearing in
Yeah.
with this oil sleeve.
Oh, you're going to actually drive it in?
Then the seal.
Oh, okay, you'll drive that
The
in
seal
first?
has to go on.
Yeah. A little bit of lubricant on that.
Let me see if I have a driver for this seal. And then we've got a new
New
Washer
washer
and
and nut, brand new, hasn't been used. We've been using all the setup stuff till this point because the carrier has come in and out, I don't know, half a dozen times probably.
Now what we'll do too is, well, maybe we'll work on that.
There's the flange. The yoke, I guess you would call it.
We'll see if one of these yoke holders
Oh yes, to hold that
will
so
fit.
that you can get the proper, what is it, inch pounds of rotation? What is it?
Pounds of rotation.
Yeah, do you know what the spec is?
20 to 25. I'll check the bolt.
All right, he thinks it's 20 to 25. He's going to
25.
verify
It's
that.
a little
That's
bit.
inch-pounds of rotational force as he tightens it up. And that's key because it's going to begin to compress the crush sleeve, correct?
Yeah.
Talking about this, so Mike has the bearing. Go ahead, Mike.
So this is a slinger, an oil slinger. And as the oil gets pumped up through a passageway in the back of here by the rotation of the ring gear, it pushes oil up through this bearing to lubricate it. This slinger is there just to keep you from over pressurizing this lip seal and forcing any oil out through the
Okay,
seal.
so it kind of blocks it. It's kind of a
It's
blocker.
just a little blocker and helps it to
It's a little
go back
blocker.
down. So
That's
I'm gonna go see if I have a
Something to fit
driver
that
fit
seal perfectly so that it can be pressed in squarely and seat in there. Take two.
You're probably filming, that's why I'm
I
dropping
was.
stuff.
All right, so you can see that all Mike's doing is he found something to drive the pinion seal in nice on the shoulder so he doesn't damage it. Get it driven in there nice and square. Makes sense. We've seen this done before. Mike's got a tool here. He's using a little ingenuity. The idea is you can see he's got this red piece of metal with a handle. Once he locks that into the yoke with a couple of the bolts, he'll be able to hold that with his hand as he uses the gun and drives down the nut to put the pinion in. Gotta have something to be able to hold that thing from spinning. Nice little tool for sure. Okay, I just held the pinion. You can see it's very well lubricated from the bearing, the oil we put in the new bearings. New washer, new nut. It's harder now because now I'm pushing the pinion gear through the outer bearing, and obviously the tolerances aren't the same because before we were using the setup bearings and it just pushed through nice. So now he'll actually have to drive that in there, and the crush sleeve is on it too. So,
And because it's a new nut, it's a new pinion, I'm gonna tighten this by hand.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna make sure that it's started correctly.
and not go too far.
Well, I'll run it down with the gun once last thing I'm gonna do is I put these on before accidentally, got too overzealous, hit it with the gun, and cross-threaded it, wrecked the threads on the pinion gear.
But also too, we need to be careful not to put too much on the crush sleeve. You gotta kind of go gingerly right and kind of a work up to the inch-pound of rotational torque that you want.
Right, we do ginger here too. Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to.
All right.
What I'm looking for is all of my so I can go a long way before
Okay.
I start crushing that
Yep.
washer.
So now Mike's using a large ratchet with some leverage.
Usually what I do.
Yeah, hold it right up under the control arm. There we go. Okay, as can happen, we had a little too much tension on the pinion and we exceeded the rotational force torque. So sadly, once that happens, the crush sleeve is shot. So we banged out the pinion. We put a second brand new crush sleeve in. And we're gonna be a little more gingerly this time as we tighten up that crush sleeve. We just slightly exceeded the rotational torque value. So it can happen, and that's why they give you extra crush sleeves.
Now that I'm crushing it, it's actually moving smoother. All right.
Okay,
Pop that off.
all right.
It's still loose. Yeah, it's still loose.
All right, so the carrier's back in. We set the crush sleeve. We were on the higher end, closer to, I don't know, maybe around 40, but we like it. It's on the higher end, but it's in tolerance. The torque values for the bearings are 70 to 90. I think, what'd you set it for, Mike?
85.
85. And he'll do a crisscross pattern. 85 for the torque value on these bearing caps. What a great, he's got the snap-on digital torque wrench.
Worth every
this
bit of 50 bucks they charge you for this.
This thing, yeah, $50. My ass, this thing is so sweet though. So as you know, we drilled a 1/2-inch hole through the case.
Guess that's just gonna sit right there.
Yep. Kind of got it close. A little bit of black RTV silicone.
Oh, I got my hands dirty.
Yeah, wrap that thing all the way around there nice, and that'll push right through that 1/2-inch hole. And that'll be for future. For now, the wires will be out. We're trying to get this thing put back together. The axle shafts will be going in, the drive shaft, etc., etc. What's the idea? To disconnect the front drive shaft and drive this thing? What's your plan?
Maybe. I mean, if I'm going to work on it Friday.
Because we haven't touched the front, or it's just going to sit here till Friday. What's the plan?
I might just sit here till Friday.
Might just sit here till Friday and then do the fronts. But the goal always was to try to get the rears done. I just wanted to take a minute to show that there's the grommet right there. You can see it. So it's fully seated nice. It sticks out about 1/2 inch out of the casing with silicone in there. That thing will be just fine. So there you go. It's out of the way of any rotational parts. The wiring is. It's been torqued. It's got the proper rotational inch-pound value right here for the crush sleeve on the pinion. And we checked the backlash, and the backlash was in tolerance too. He was really, really happy about the backlash on it. So not bad as far as setting up these rear gears.